The badge glinted like a predator's tooth under the sodium streetlights as Officer Jackson Hale slammed me against the brick wall of Rusty's Dive, the kind of hole-in-the-wall bar where dreams go to drown in cheap whiskey. You think you can prance around my town like some fairy tale fag? Huh? Spreading your glitter-ass bullshit where good folks pray. His breath reeked of stale coffee and suppressed rage. Knuckles white on my collar. But it was his eyes, those storm-blue eyes I'd once drowned in, that twisted the knife deeper than any slur. I spat blood from a split lip, tasting the copper tang of betrayal. He didn't even know he was serving up fresh. Because Jackson Hale had no goddamn clue that the broken kid he was pounding into oblivion was the same Liam Carver he'd sworn eternal love to under the bleachers of Eldridge High, 15 years ago in the dust-choked heart of rural Oklahoma. I didn't come back to Eldridge to stir ghosts. Hell, I'd spent a decade running from them, chasing sun-soaked anonymity in the sprawl of Los Angeles, where being gay was just another flavor in the rainbow gumbo of Hollywood wannabes and trust fund refugees. But family has a way of yanking you back, like a hook in your gut. My mama, God rest her stubborn soul, had passed in a quiet hospice bed, leaving behind the family ranch that was more rust than romance, and a letter tucked in her Bible that read like a confession. Liam, honey, your daddy wasn't the man I thought. The ranch is yours, but watch your back. Secrets bury folks here. She never knew about Jackson, not the full truth of it, but she'd suspected enough to give me that wary side eye whenever his name popped up in the local paper. Always the golden boy, the all-American cop keeping Eldridge safe from folks like me. So there I was, 29 and frayed at the edges, unloading my beat-up Ford pickup under a sky the color of bruised peaches, the air thick with the scent of hay and regret. Eldridge hadn't changed much. Same sagging porches on Main Street, same Confederate flag fluttering defiantly from the feed store, same whispers curling like smoke from the diner counters. I dyed my hair a defiant auburn back in L.A., traded my faded Levi's for slim-fit jeans that hugged too close for comfort in this Bible Belt backwater. But the stares started the second I stepped into Rusty's that Friday night. A beer to steady my nerves after signing the ranch papers. That's all I wanted. Instead, I got a front-row seat to my own undoing. The bar was a time capsule of neon and Naugahyde, Willie Nelson crooning from the jukebox about mamas and lost highways. I nursed a Bud Light at the scarred oak counter, ignoring the sidelong glances from the flannel brigade at the pool tables. That's when he walked in, Jackson Hale, all 6'3" of broad-shouldered, buzz-cut authority, his uniform crisp as a fresh lie, the kind that hides the rot underneath. He was broader now, filled out from high school's lanky frame into something carved from granite, but the jawline was the same, the one I'd traced with trembling fingers in the cab of his daddy's Chevy. 15 years. And he still moved like he owned the air itself. Our eyes locked across the haze of cigarette smoke, mine widening in a panic I couldn't mask, his narrowing in that cop's perpetual squint. He didn't recognize me. Not at first. Why would he? I'd been a scrawny 17-year-old with braces and a stutter when he'd crushed his mouth to mine behind the gym, whispering promises that tasted like cherry coke and forever. Now, I was just another outsider, another threat to the fragile heteronormativity he'd armored himself in. He sauntered over, boots thudding like accusations, and clapped a meaty hand on my shoulder, hard enough to jolt the stool. Evening, stranger, he drawled, that Oklahoma twang wrapping around the words like barbed wire. You lost. Or just looking to stir up trouble in my town. Close. He smelled like pine soap and gun oil, a scent that hit me like a freight train, dragging up memories I'd buried under therapy sessions and grinder hookups. I forced a smile, casual as I could muster, heart hammering like a jackrabbit on meth. Just passin' through, officer. Name's Liam. Liam. Reed. The fake surname slipped out easy. I'd practiced it in the rearview mirror all the way from Tulsa. His grip tightened, eyes flicking over me, hair, earrings, the rainbow pin on my lapel that I'd forgotten to ditch. Disgust flickered, quick as a match strike. Reed. Huh? Well, Reed, we got rules here. Folks like you. He leaned in, voice dropping to a venomous hiss. They keep to themselves. No parades. No hand-holdin'. No making good Christian boys question their place in God's plan. The bar had gone quiet, heads turning like sunflowers to the sun. But it was his words that pinned me, echoing the taunts he'd once shielded me from in the locker room, back when we were invincible kids stealing kisses in the dark. I should have walked away. Should have paid my tab and peeled out of town before the ranch even saw a hammer's swing. But something feral snapped in me. The boy he'd left bleeding in the dirt when his daddy caught us, the one who'd hitched to LA. With nothing but a duffel and a shattered heart. Folks like me, I echoed, voice steady despite the quake in my chest. You mean folks who don't hide who they are? Or folks who do, and bully the rest to feel straight? The backhand came fast, a crack like thunder that split my lip and sent stars exploding behind my eyes. I tasted blood, felt it trickle warm down my chin, but it was the laughter from the crowd that stung worse. Rough, approving guffaws from men who'd probably jerked off to the same forbidden thoughts in their barns. Jackson hauled me up by the collar, dragging me toward the back door, his face a mask of righteous fury. You got a mouth on you, queer. Time to teach you some respect. Outside, the alley was a black maw between the bar and the auto shop, gravel crunching under our boots like brittle bones. Rain had started, a fine southern mist that turned the world to oil-slick shimmer. He shoved me against the wall, forearm like a battering ram across my throat. You think this is LA? This is Eldridge. My Eldridge. And I keep it clean. His free hand fisted my shirt, bunching the fabric over my chest. Knuckles grazing the old tattoo I'd gotten in a Koreatown parlor on my 18th birthday. A pair of interlocking gears, etched with J and L forever. The stupid, hopeful brand I'd never covered. I gasped, vision blurring, but not from the pressure. It was him, close enough to feel the heat rolling off his body, to see the faint scar on his jaw from that 4th of July when we'd raced dirt bikes and he'd wiped out saving me from a ravine. Jackson. I wheezed, the name slipping out like a prayer and a curse. His eyes flashed, confusion, then dismissal. How the fuck you know my name? Faggot. The slur landed like a boot to the ribs. But he didn't let go, pressing closer, breath mingling with mine in the damp air. I could have told him then. Could have ripped open my shirt, shown him the ink that matched the one hidden under his sleeve, the twin gears he'd gotten a week later, in secret, swearing we'd run away to San Francisco after graduation. But pride, or maybe self-preservation, sealed my lips. Instead, I laughed, a ragged, broken sound that echoed off the bricks. Because assholes like you, they're all the same. Hiding from your own reflection. His fist connected with my gut, doubling me over, and as I retched into the puddle at our feet, he spat on the ground beside me. Stay out of my sight, Reed. Or next time, it's the tank. He stormed off, leaving me slumped in the rain, the world spinning in a haze of pain and what-ifs. I dragged myself to the ranch that night, the old Ford's wipers slapping a futile rhythm against the downpour. The house loomed like a specter, peeling white-clabbered, porch swing creaking in the wind, the kind of place that swallowed secrets whole. Inside, I patched my lip with a rag and bourbon from Mama's cabinet, staring at the faded photo on the mantel, her and Daddy on their wedding day, him in his deputy's uniform, stern as a storm cloud. Turns out, secrets ran deeper than I knew. That letter, it wasn't just about the ranch. Tucked in the folds was a yellowed clipping from the Eldridge Gazette, dated 1990. Local Deputy Hale cleared in brutal assault on suspect. My daddy. Jackson's daddy was the chief back then, but the Hales and Carvers went way back, blood ties thicker than the Oklahoma red clay. I crumpled it, heart pounding. Jackson didn't just not recognize me. He had no idea the kid he'd loved and left was the son of the man his family had railroaded into an early grave. Daddy never talked about it, but the bottle did, night after night, until the aneurysm took him 5 years back. Now here I was, inheriting not just land, but a vendetta wrapped in flannel and denial. Sleep came fitful, haunted by dreams of bleachers and bare skin, Jackson's whispers turning to snarls. Morning brought sun that mocked the ache in my ribs, and a resolve I hadn't felt since LA's concrete jungle. I wasn't running this time. Eldridge would choke on its own lies, starting with the cop who thought he owned the truth. By noon, I was at the hardware store, loading fence wire and paint thinner. Ignoring the clerk's pitying glances, word traveled fast in towns like this. "Heard you had a run-in with Hale last night," the old-timer muttered, ringing me up. "Boys got demons. Best steer clear." I nodded, biting back the urge to spill it all. Demons? Jackson was a goddamn exorcism waiting to happen. That afternoon, as I hammered posts into the sun-baked earth, sweat stinging my cuts, a shadow fell across the field. Not Jackson, thank Christ, but a ghost of another kind, Tommy Ruiz, my high school confidant, now the town's lone out and proud mechanic, his arms inked with roses and rainbows. He leaned on the fence, grease-streaked grin wide as the prairie. "Liam Carver, as I live and breathe. Thought you'd gone Hollywood for good." We hugged fierce, the kind that says I survived you, brother. Tommy had been there that night, the night Jackson's daddy burst in with a shotgun, screaming about abominations, forcing us apart like we were diseased. Tommy took the brunt, a black eye and a broken nose, while I slunk away to nurse the deeper wounds. "Heard about your mama," he said softly, pulling back. "And about Jackson's welcome wagon." "You okay?" I shrugged, wiping dirt from my hands. "Peachy. Just another Tuesday in paradise." We talked for hours, him chain-smoking Camels, me spilling just enough about LA to paint envy in his eyes. He'd stayed, fought the good fight, opened his shop with a pride flag out front that dared the haters to cross the threshold. "Jackson's worse since the divorce," Tommy confided, flicking ash. "Wife caught him. Well, not with a woman. Panicked, blamed the bottle. Now he's overcompensating like a motherfucker." My stomach twisted. Jackson married? Kids? The image clawed at me, him in a cap and gown at some backyard barbecue, playing straight daddy while I pieced myself back together in strangers' beds. "He doesn't know it's me," I admitted, voice low. "Doesn't remember." Tommy's eyes softened, sad as a wilted daisy. "Give it time, Liam." or don't. But if you're staying, watch your six. Hale's got the whole department in his pocket. And your daddy's old case? It's the third rail around here. We parted with a promise of beers, sans cops, and I spent the evening poring over Mama's letter by lantern light, the clipping staring back like an accusation. Daddy's assault charge. A suspect he'd roughed up during a bar bust, but the details screamed cover-up. The victim? Unnamed. But the date lined up with whispers I'd overheard as a kid. Some drifter who'd disappeared after pressing charges. And Jackson's daddy, Chief Hale, had signed off on the exoneration. Coincidence? In Eldridge, nothing was. I crashed hard that night, the weight of it all pressing like a storm front. But dawn brought clarity. I'd fix the ranch, sell it if I had to, and ghost this shithole before Jackson's fists found me again. But fate, that cruel American bitch, had other plans. It started small. A flat tire on my way to the feed store, the kind that screams sabotage. Then the anonymous notes slipped under my door. Go home, queer. Or end up like your old man. By week's end, I was jumpy as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs, Tommy's warnings ringing true. And Jackson, he was everywhere, patrolling Main Street like a hawk, his cruiser idling outside the diner when I grabbed coffee, those blue eyes boring holes through my windshield. One night, buzzed on bravado and bourbon, I drove to the edge of town, to the old quarry where we'd first kissed, the water below black as ink under the moon. I stood on the lip, wind whipping my jacket, yelling his name into the void until my throat burned. No answer, just echoes mocking me. But as I turned to leave, headlights pierced the dark. His cruiser, slow and deliberate. He stepped out, silhouette etched against the glare, hand resting casual on his holster. Reed. Figured I'd find you out here, chasin' trouble. His voice was gravel, laced with something I couldn't place. Curiosity, wariness, a close. In the silver light, the years etched fine lines around his mouth, a weariness that tugged at my traitor heart. Just needed air. I lied. Chin up. You stalking me now, officer. He chuckled, low and bitter, stepping closer. The proximity was torture, his heat, his scent, the way his uniform strained across shoulders I'd once mapped with my tongue. Part of the job. Keeping an eye on. Elements. The word hung, ugly and loaded, but his gaze lingered on my mouth, on the fading bruise he'd put there. Guilt? Or something hungrier? Elements, I repeated, stepping into his space, close enough to feel his breath hitch. Like me? Or like whatever you're running from? It was reckless, a spark to dry tinder, but I saw it, the flicker in his eyes, recognition's ghost brushing past. He grabbed my arm, not hard, but firm, thumb pressing a vein that pulsed wild. Watch your tone, boy. Or you'll what? Hit me again? Lock me up for existing? My voice cracked, the dam splintering. You don't even know me, Jackson. But I know you. Better than you think. He froze, grip tightening, eyes searching my face like a suspect lineup. Rain started again, fat drops splattering the gravel, but neither of us moved. Thunder rumbled, distant, and in that suspended breath, I saw it, the boy he'd been, cracking through the armor. What the hell are you talking about? I pulled free, heart slamming. Not yet. Not like this. Nothing. Just drive safe, Officer Hale. I brushed past him, shoulder to shoulder, the contact electric, and peeled out in a spray of mud, leaving him standing there, a lone figure swallowed by the storm. Back at the ranch, I locked the door, poured a double, and let the tears come, hot, furious rivers for the love we'd torched, for the man he'd become, for the truth that would shatter us both. Because Jackson didn't just bully me for being gay. He bullied me for being the mirror he couldn't face. And soon, very soon, he'd see his reflection clear as day. The days blurred into a tense tango after the quarry standoff, Eldridge's humid haze pressing down like a guilty conscience. I threw myself into the ranch, mending fences that snaked like old grudges across the acreage, painting the barn a defiant red that screamed, "I'm here. Deal with it." Work was therapy, the hammer's rhythm drowning out the what-ifs that clawed at night. Tommy became my lifeline, dropping by with cold Lone Stars and hotter gossip, his shop radio blasting Dolly Parton to chase the ghosts. "Jackson's been a skin around about you," he said one sweltering afternoon, wiping sweat from his brow as we shared a porch swing. Subtle as a sledgehammer. "Who's this Reed fella? City type, like he's piecing a puzzle," I snorted, popping the cap on my beer with a church key. "Let him puzzle. I'm not here to solve his identity crisis," but the lie tasted sour. Every patrol car rumble on the county road sent my pulse racing, every shadow in the rear view a potential hail. And God help me, part of me craved it, the confrontation, the collapse, the chance to make him remember. It came sooner than I braced for, on a Thursday that dawned sticky and suspicious. I'd driven into town for supplies, the Ford groaning under sacks of feed, when the cruiser fell in behind me at the stoplight. No whoop of the siren, just that predatory tail, lights off but presence heavy as sin. My knuckles whitened on the wheel, but I played it cool, cruising past the courthouse with its Confederate monument still standing proud, a middle finger to progress. He followed to the ranch turnoff, peeling away only when gravel spat under my tires. That night, the notes escalated. This one was nailed to the porch post, the wood splintering like my resolve. Carver blood runs queer and crooked. Leave or bleed. Carver. Not Reed. Someone knew who I was, knew the old wounds. I burned it in the sink, flames licking high, but the smoke lingered, acrid as fear. Tommy crashed at the ranch after, shotgun propped by the door, his presence a bulwark against the creeping dread. We stayed up till the rooster stirred, trading stories over black coffee, his first Pride March in Oklahoma City, the brick through his shop window last year, my LA. Escapades that sounded glamorous till you factored in the loneliness. "You ever think about telling him?" he asked, voice soft in the lamplight. "Jackson." Lay it all bare. I stared into my mug, steam curling like unanswered prayers. "Every damn day." "But what then? He denies it again? Or worse, uses it against me?" The betrayal loomed large, a specter from our youth. After his daddy's shotgun sermon, Jackson had ghosted me for weeks, then cornered me in the school parking lot with a handshake and a lie. It was a phase. "Liam. We're bros now. Don't ruin it." Brothers. The word had gutted me, sharper than any blade, sending me spiraling into silence and solitude. Tommy clapped my shoulder, solid as oak. "You're stronger now, man. And Eldridge, it's changin'. Slow as molasses, but there's a meetin' next week, LGBTQ ally group at the library. Folks showing up, even some straights. You should come. I nodded, but doubt nod. Ally group in Eldridge? Sounded like a setup for pitchforks. Still, by Sunday, curiosity dragged me there, slipping in the back like a penitent sinner. The library basement smelled of musty books and fresh coffee, folding chairs arranged in a wobbly circle under fluorescent buzz. 10 souls total. Tommy grinning from the front, a couple of wide-eyed college kids from the community college, a silver-haired librarian with a rainbow lanyard, and, fuck me sideways, a familiar flannel-clad figure in the corner, arms crossed, jaw set like concrete. Jackson. Not in uniform, thank God. But the off-duty jeans and tee did nothing to soften the impact, hugging his chest. Faded OU Sooners cap pulled low. What the hell was he doing here? Our eyes met across the circle, his widening in shock before narrowing to slits. I froze, half in the door, flight instinct screaming run. But Tommy's wave pinned me. Liam, grab a seat. Brother. I slid into the chair opposite Jackson, the air between us crackling like a live wire. The facilitator, a soft-spoken woman named Rita from the city outreach, kicked off with icebreakers, names, pronouns, one hope for Eldridge. When my turn came, voice steady as I could fake, I said, Liam, him. Hope that this town remembers love ain't a crime. Murmurs of agreement, but Jackson's stare bored into me, hot and unreadable. His turn, Jackson. Him. Here. For a friend. A lie so thin it shredded on contact. But Rita nodded encouragingly. The circle opened to shares, stories of rejection, small victories, the grind of visibility in a place where fag was still currency. One kid, barely 20, choked out how his pastor daddy had prayed the gay away with fists and holy water. The room held its breath, then exhaled in hugs. My chest tightened, echoes of my own silences, but it was Jackson's fidgeting, fingers drumming his knee, gaze flicking to me like a moth to flame, that unraveled me. Break time hit, and I bolted for the coffee urn, scalding my tongue on purpose to feel something real. Footsteps behind me, boots on linoleum, and there he was, crowding my space, voice a low rumble. What the fuck is this? Reed, you spying on me now? I turned slow, steam rising between us like a veil. Spying? This ain't your personal inquisition. Hail. Some of us actually give a damn. Close up. Sans badge. He was almost human, stubble shadowing his jaw, a faint whiskey scent clinging like confession. His eyes, though those were war zones, blue as the quarry depths, searching for purchase. You got no idea what you're stirring, he growled, but there was a tremor, a crack in the facade. This town. It eats its own. And you'd know. Huh? The big bad cop. Keeping the monsters at bay. Sarcasm dripped. But I stepped closer. Reckless. The room's chatter fading to white noise. Or maybe you're just scared of joining him. His hand shot out, gripping my elbow. Not bruising, but urgent, pulling me into the shadowed stacks. Books towered like silent judges, the air thick with dust and desire. You talk like you know me, he hissed, face inches from mine, breath warm on my cheek. But you don't. Nobody does. I could have ended it there, tilted my chin, bridged the gap, let our lips crash like thunder. Instead, I twisted free, heart a drum solo. Maybe I know more than you think, Jackson. Ever consider that? His flinch was microscopic. But I caught it, the hook sinking deep. The meeting wrapped with resources and reluctant goodbyes. Jackson bolting first, his truck roaring out of the lot like escape. Tommy cornered me after, eyebrow arched. That was intense. You too? Old history, I muttered, climbing into the Ford. And it's about to repeat. The harassment amped up post-meeting, like I'd poked a hornet's nest. Tires slashed in the Shopko lot, my mailbox stuffed with Bible verses on Sodom. Tommy's shop got a drive-by egging, and he blamed Jackson's crew, good OL boys who patrolled with Bibles and bats. He's unraveling, Tommy texted at 2 a.m., after I'd woken to rocks pinging my window. Saw him at the quarry tonight. Alone. Looked like hell. I didn't go. Couldn't. But sleep evaded, the tattoo itching under my shirt like a brand. By morning, resolve hardened. Time to dig into Daddy's past, unearth the bones Jackson's family had buried. The county archives were a basement crypt in the courthouse, fluorescent lit and forgotten. The clerk a chain-smoking crone who eyed my rainbow pin but said nothing. Files yellowed with age. But there it was, the 1990 report, sanitized as a summer salad. Deputy Carver, my daddy, charged with excessive force on a transient male, approximate. 25. Unidentified. Notes scribbled in margins. Suspect resisted. Hale recommends leniency. But clipped to the back. A miracle, a faded Polaroid, tucked like contraband. Daddy in uniform, arm around Chief Hale, both grinning at some picnic. And between them, a blurry kid, 17. Maybe, with Jackson's jaw and my eyes? No. Wait. The kid was Jackson. Young, unscarred, arms slung casual around Daddy's shoulders. Family photo, but the date, summer '89, months before the assault. My brain reeled. Hale and Carver weren't just colleagues. They were kin, cousins. The clipping Mama left mentioned blood. But this was conspiracy thick. I photocopied it all, hands shaking, and fled to Tommy's shop, bursting in with papers flying. Look at this shit. Our dads, they were tight. Too tight. And that assault? It wasn't random. The transient. What if he was gay? What if Daddy was protecting someone? Tommy scanned the pages. Whistle low. Jesus. Liam. This could blow the lid off. But Jackson. If he finds out you're digging. A knock at the bay door cut him off. Sharp. Authoritative. We both froze as Jackson strode in. Off duty again. But his face thunderdark. Ruiz. Carver. The names landed like indictments. Eyes locking on the scattered files. What the hell's going on here? I scooped the papers. Casual as a poker bluff. Just ranch business. Fences and such. His gaze drilled. Then flicked to Tommy, who busied himself with a wrench. Bullshit. I saw your truck at the courthouse. You poking around old cases? Daddy's. The room shrank. Air sucked out. Public record. I shot back. Chin up. Freedom of information, officer. Or does that not apply in your kingdom? He advanced. Slow. Predator grace. Stopping inches away. Tommy tensed. But Jackson ignored him. Focused on me, on the fear and fire warring in my chest. You don't know what you're messin' with. Read. Some graves stay shut for a reason. And some need diggin', I whispered. Voice fierce. Our breaths synced. the space between us a minefield. His hand twitched, like he might touch me, reassure, or restrain, then balled into a fist. Walk away. Liam. My name. Not Reed. He'd said it soft, laced with warning and longing. The slip hung, electric. I swallowed, the Polaroid burning in my pocket. Can't. Not anymore. He held my gaze a beat too long. Storm clouds gathering, then turned on his heel. This ain't over. The door slammed, leaving silence thick as tar. Tommy exhaled. He called you Liam. He knows. Yeah. I breathed, sinking onto a stool. And it's gonna break us all. That night, alone with the files, I pieced the puzzle till dawn. The transient, described in a buried witness statement as effeminate, dark hair, out-of-towner, sounded like a drifter fleeing hate, caught in Eldridge's crosshairs. Daddy had interrogated him rough, bruises, broken ribs, but the kid vanished before trial. Case dropped on Chief Hale's say-so. Cover up, plain as day, to protect the town's reputation. But why? And Jackson's presence in that photo, smiling with my daddy like uncles at a reunion, hinted at deeper ties. Half-brothers? Uncles? The math didn't add, but the emotion did. Betrayal, layered like sedimentary rock. Exhaustion claimed me at sunrise. Dreams a montage of shotgun blasts and stolen kisses. I woke to pounding, not thunder, but fists on the door. Groggy, I yanked it open to Jackson. Disheveled, rain-soaked from another squall, eyes wild with something primal. Liam, he rasped, stepping over the threshold uninvited. We gotta talk. Now. My heart seized. The reckoning I'd courted, it was here, uninvited and inevitable. He paced the living room like a caged panther, boots tracking mud across Mama's rag rugs, the air between us charged with the ozone tang of impending storm. I leaned against the kitchen doorframe, arms crossed to hide the tremble, watching him unravel. Jackson Hale, the unbreakable, cracking at the seams, hair tousled under that damn OU cap, flannel untucked and clinging damp to his torso, outlining muscles honed by regret and repression. You're him, he finally growled, stopping dead, eyes locking on mine with the force of a .45. The kid from high school. Liam Carver. Not Reed. Jesus fucking Christ. The words hung, a guillotine blade mid-swing. I'd rehearsed this 1,000 times in fevered LA. Nights, screaming it in mirrors, whispering it to lovers who weren't him, but hearing him say it gutted me clean. Took you long enough? I managed, voice steady as rebar. 15 years. Jackson. You really forgot the taste of my mouth. He flinched, color draining from his face, then surging back in a flush of shame. Fuck. The hair, the attitude, you look nothing like. But those eyes. He raked a hand through his buzz cut, pacing again. Why didn't you say, at the bar? The quarry, why let me beat the shit out of me? I finished, stepping forward, the floorboards creaking like old bones. Because you needed to see it, Jax. The hate you sling is your own ghost, chasing you. The nickname slipped out, intimate as a caress, and he stopped cold, breath hitching. Don't call me that, but it was weak, a whisper against the thunder rumbling outside. Rain lashed the windows now, turning the world to silver sheets, trapping us in this confessional. He sank onto the sagging couch, elbows on knees, head in hands. I thought you'd left for good. After Daddy found us. You vanished, Liam. Hitchhiked outta here like I was the devil himself. You were, I shot back, but softer, perching on the coffee table across from him, close enough to touch if I dared. Or your daddy was waving that shotgun like Judgment Day. You chose him. Chose the lie. Brothers. Remember? That handshake in the parking lot? It broke me. His head snapped up, eyes raw, blue as the bruises he'd given me, swimming with unshed tears. I was scared, all right, 17, with the whole town breathing down my neck. Daddy. He said he'd kill us both, or worse, out me to the team, the church. I thought, if I pushed you away, you'd be safe. Go build a life somewhere they couldn't touch you. A bitter laugh escaped. Worked too well. Married Sarah out of spite. Had a kid I barely see now. Divorced her when she found my stash of magazines. The ones with guys like us. The confession cracked something in me. Pity, maybe, or the first thaw of forgiveness. I reached out, hesitant, my fingers brushing his knee. He didn't pull away. Instead, his hand covered mine, rough palm engulfing, calluses from trigger and will scraping tender skin. I never stopped thinking about you, he murmured, thumb tracing circles that sent sparks up my arm. Every bust, every bar fight, I saw your face. Wondered if you hated me. I did, I admitted, voice thick. Hated you enough to survive. But I came back for Mama, for the ranch. Not for this for us. Lies and truths tangled. But in that moment, with rain drumming a lover's lullaby, felt like absolution. He tugged me closer, onto the couch beside him, our thighs pressing, heat building like a brush fire. I'm sorry, Liam. For the bar, the fists, God, I didn't know. If I'd recognized, his free hand cupped my jaw, thumb grazing my lip, gentle where it had once bruised. The touch ignited, years of banked embers flaring, and I leaned in, sealing our mouths in a kiss that tasted of salt and second chances. It was slow at first, exploratory, lips parting tentative, tongues brushing like old friends reuniting. Then hunger took over, his arms banding around me, pulling me astride his lap as the kiss deepened, desperate and devouring. I fisted his flannel, grinding down, feeling him harden beneath me, a groan rumbling from his chest that vibrated straight to my core. Liam, he gasped against my neck, teeth nipping the pulse there. Fuck, I missed this. Missed you. Clothes shed in a frenzy, buttons popping, zippers rasping, till we were skin to sweat-slick skin, the couch creaking under our weight. His mouth mapped me reverent. Collarbone, nipples pebbled under his tongue, the tattoo that drew a choked sob from him. You kept it, he whispered, tracing the gears with reverent fingers, then shoving up his sleeve to reveal his match, faded but fierce. Me too. We moved together then, a rhythm relearned in gasps and grips, his hands on my hips guiding, my nails raking his back as thunder crashed approval. It was messy, emotional, tears mingling with sweat, apologies murmured into hollows. But it was us, raw and real, the love we'd buried clawing free. He came undone first, arching with a curse that was prayer, pulling me over the edge with him, the world narrowing to the throb of our joined pulses. After We lay tangled, his head on my chest, rain easing to a patter. "Stay," he mumbled, fingers idly stroking my side. "We'll figure this. The ranch, the town, I'll protect you." I wanted to believe it, traced the scar on his jaw from that long-ago wipeout. From what? Your own shadow. But I held him closer, lulled by his heartbeat, the first peace I'd felt since LA's lights faded in the rearview. Bliss is fragile as spun sugar in Eldridge. By morning, he was gone, note on the pillow, duty calls. "Dinner tonight, J. Leaving me humming in the kitchen, brewing coffee with a stupid grin. Tommy texted thumbs-up emojis when I spilled the highlights, and even the slashed tires felt distant, fixable. But the archives photo burned in my pocket, a serpent in Eden. I drove to the quarry at lunch, needing air, needing to process the man Jackson had become versus the boy I'd loved. The water gleamed turquoise under the sun, dragonflies skimming like skipped stones. I spread the photocopies on a flat rock, tracing the young faces, Daddy's proud grin, Chief Hale's steely gaze, Jackson's innocent smirk. That's when the pieces slotted, the date on the photo, summer '89. Mama's letter mentioned secrets from that time, a mistake Daddy regretted. What if? No. But the math. Jackson born '83, me '86. Same hometown hospital, per the obits. And the transient assault months later. Cover for something uglier? I pocketed the pic. Nausea rising. Blood ties? Couldn't be. Wouldn't. Duty pulled me back to the ranch, but unease shadowed the drive. Jackson texted, 7 p.m. Rusty's. Truce beer? I agreed, nerves jangling like loose change. At 6:45, I showered off the dust, chose a button-down that hugged without taunting, auburn hair tamed but defiant. The Ford rumbled to town, past fields golden in the slant light, fireflies winking like conspirators. Rusty's was half full, the jukebox mercifully silent. Jackson waited at a corner booth, uniform traded for civvies again, a pitcher sweating on the table. He stood when I entered, pulling me into a hug that lingered, his whisper hot in my ear. Missed you already. We drank slow, knees brushing under the table, conversation skirting the edges. His shift stories sanitized of slurs. My L.A. Tales edited for levity. Laughter came easy, a bridge over the chasm. And when his hand found mine across the scarred wood, fingers lacing, I felt the world right itself. Till the door banged open, admitting 3 of his patrol buddies, burly, buzzed, badges gleaming like bad omens. Hale, what you doin' hidin' with the city slicker? One bellowed, clapping Jackson's back hard enough to slosh the beer. Eyes flicked to me, narrowing the fag from the bar, hand in hand with their golden boy. Jackson stiffened, hand jerking free like I'd burned him. Just talkin' shop, boys. Nothing to see, but the damage was done. Whispers snaked, stares drilled. His buddies crowded the booth, one big as a fridge, named Brody leaning in with a leer. This the queer you roughed up? Making nice now? Or you going native? Hale, the slur landed like a gut punch. But Jackson's laugh was forced. Bark without bite. Ease up, Brody. Liam's. All right. Ranch in with his mama's spread. No boyfriend. No mine. Just deflection. The old armor snapping back. I stood, chair scraping loud. I'll leave you to your bromance. voice cool, but inside, the fracture widened, hope splintering on the rocks of reality. Liam, wait. He followed me out, grabbing my arm in the lot, gravel crunching underfoot. Stars pricked the velvet sky, the air cooling to autumn's bite. For what? So your redneck parade can see you slumming, bitterness spilled, hot and unfiltered. One night doesn't erase 15 years of bullshit. Jackson. He yanked me close, forehead to mine, breath ragged. It's not like that. They're my crew old habits. Give me time. Time. I laughed. Hollow. You had 15. I'm done waiting. I shoved him back, storming to the ford. But he caught the door, eyes pleading. Please. I love you. Always have. The words, raw and wrecked, stopped me cold. I searched his face, saw the boy, the man, the mess. Prove it, I whispered, then drove away, leaving him in the dust. The next days were a whirlwind of whiplash. Jackson showed up at the ranch unannounced, fixing the fences I'd botched, bringing takeout from the diner, his touches lingering, kisses stolen in the barn loft where hay scratched our skin. I told Brody to fuck off, he murmured one evening, arms around me from behind as we watched sunset paint the fields. Told M you're off limits, progress, fragile as eggshell. But the notes kept coming, bolder, Hale's gone soft. Time to remind him. And the archives nod. I cornered Rita from the group, the librarian ally, over coffee at her desk. Old cases, 90s. Anything on a missing person after a deputy bust. She frowned, typing furtive. Off record? Yeah. Kid named Elias Thorne, drifter. Filed a complaint against your dad, assault, hate crime vibes. Then poof. Hale Sr. Buried it. Rumor was protection racket. For the chief's family issues. Family. The word chilled. That night, Jackson stayed over, our lovemaking tender, exploratory, him learning my body like a map to redemption, me yielding despite the doubts. Dawn found us entwined, his whisper in my ear. Marry me, Liam. Let's leave this shithole. Start over. Tempting. So tempting. But the photo mocked from the nightstand. Secrets festering. Climax brewed midweek. A call from Tommy. Get to the shop. Now. Jackson's in a fight bad. I floored it. Heart in throat. Arriving to chaos. Sirens wailing. Jackson bloodied and cuffed against his own cruiser. Brody looming with a busted lip. Crowd milling like vultures. What the fuck happened? I shoved through, reaching for him. He looked up, eyes haunted. They found out about us. Brody swung first, called you. I lost it. Brody sneered from the sidelines. Faggot lover now. Hale, Chief'll love this. Chief. Jackson's uncle? The pieces crashed. Hale Sr. Dead 10 years. But his shadow loomed. And the Polaroid brothers? No. Worse. I yanked the copy from my pocket, thrusting it at Jackson as paramedics swarmed. Your daddy and mine. What were they hiding? His face crumpled, cuffs glinting cruel. Liam. Don't. Please. But I did. Later, bailed out and bandaged at my kitchen table, truth spilled in halting torrents. Elias. He was my half-brother. Daddy's bastard with some waitress. Found out he was gay. Runnin' from it. Came to Eldridge for help. Daddy sent your pops to handle it. Rough interrogation. Cover up. Elias vanished. Suicide, they said. Or worse. Tears tracked his cheeks. Our dads. They were lovers. Liam. Back in the 70s. Chief Hale. Your daddy. Closeted as hell. Using power to bury it. The assault? Payback gone wrong. And me. I'm Hale blood. But Carver too. Mama never said. But the dates. Incestuous echoes. A town built on buried loves. Betrayal layered. Our dad's secret romance. The violence it birthed. Jackson's denial a cycle unbroken. I bullied you, he choked. To kill the part of me that's them. Weak. Wrong. I pulled him close, holding the fragments. Not wrong. Human. But we break it now or it breaks us. The revelation hung over us like a pall, turning every touch tentative, every glance a minefield. Jackson crashed at the ranch full-time now. His apartment sublet in a haze of denial, but trust eroded slow, insidious as rust. We'd make love fierce in the afternoons, him pinning me to the kitchen table, growls of possession masking the fear, then wake to silences heavy with unspoken accusations. Was he lying about Elias? About our dad's twisted legacy? Or worse, using me to bury it deeper? Tommy warned over beers at his shop, tools clanging like alarm bells. He's Chief Hale's nephew, Liam. Blood don't wash off easy. And those notes? Got a tip Brody's crew. But Jackson knew. Laughed it off last week at the station. Doubt seeded. Sprouting thorns. I confronted him that night. Files splayed on the quilt like evidence. You knew about Elias. All of it. Why hide? He deflated, shoulders slumping under the weight. Not hidin'. Protectin'. The department is rotten. Liam. Old guard. My uncle's ghost. Dig too deep. They bury you. Like daddy. Like Elias. His hand reached for mine. Pleading. We go to the feds. Clean. Together. I wanted to believe. Pulled him down into the sheets. Our bodies a temporary truce. But the betrayal festered. Whispers from Rita confirming. Jackson had quashed a similar complaint last year. A kid beaten for cruising. Protecting the badge. Or the family name. Eldridge simmered toward Boyle. The ally group swelled. Emboldened by our story. Whispers of Jackson's change rippling like wind through wheat. But backlash brewed. Crosses burned on Tommy's lawn. My truck keyed with slurs. Jackson patrolled harder. His cruiser a sentinel. But absences grew, late nights on call. Excuses thin as smoke. The snap came Friday. Harvest moon fat and mocking. I'd planned a quiet dinner. Steaks on the grill. Stars for company. But he texted at dusk. Emergency. Love you. Hours ticked. Worry gnawing. Till headlights swept the drive at midnight. Not his cruiser. Brody's unmarked truck. Jackson slumped in the passenger seat. Lips split. I swelling purple. What the hell? I hauled him inside. Ice pack pressed to his face as Brody hovered. Sheepish in the door. Bar scuffle, Brody grunted. Some out-of-towner mouthin' off. Your boy here played hero. Jackson mumbled agreement, waving off questions. But his eyes skittered, guilty, evasive. After Brody left, I pinned him to the couch, straddling his hips, demanding truth. Who really hit you? And don't lie, Jax. I see it, the flinch, the secrets. He cracked then, tears carving tracks through the blood. It was me, Liam. I went to the station after shift. Old files, Elias's. But Brody caught me, thought I was snitchin'. Beat the shit out of me to remind who I am. A sob racked him. Hail blood. Cop first. Always. Relief warred with rage. Truth. Finally. But laced with poison. And me? Where do I fit? When the badge calls. You're everything, he swore. Hands roaming desperate. Pulling me down into a kiss that bruised and begged. We tumbled to the floor. Clothes discarded in fury. His mouth worshipping every inch as if to atone. Tongue tracing my tattoo. Fingers curling inside me till I arched. Gasping his name. It was cathartic. A purging, him thrusting deep. Our cries drowning the doubts. Climax crashing like waves on cliffs. Afterward, spent and sticky, he held me fierce. I'll quit. Tomorrow. For us, lies taste sweetest in afterglow. By morning, he was gone again, no note, just cold sheets and a voicemail. Meet me at the quarry. 8 p.m. End this. My gut twisted, hope or trap. But I went, dusk bleeding purple over the water. Crickets chorusing anticipation. He waited on the lip, silhouette stark against the fading light, a bottle of Jack dangling from one hand. Liam, his voice broke on my name, pulling me close, kiss hungry but hurried. I did it. Told the chief, resigned. But there's more. Elias's body. They dumped it here. After the suicide story, horror iced my veins. You knew? All this time. Guessed. Doug last night. He led me to a rocky outcrop. Flashlight beam slicing dark. Shallow grave. Bones bleached. A rusted chain glinting. DNA'll prove it. Feds en route. But the old guard. They'll come for us. We stood vigil. Arms linked. Defined a catalyst. Justice for Elias. For our fractured lineage. Sirens wailed distant. Blue lights flickering on the horizon. And for a heartbeat, I believed in redemption. Then betrayal's blade fell. Tires crunched. Brody's truck. Screeching to halt. For shadows spilling out. Bats and chains swinging. Traitor fuck, Brody roared. Lunging for Jackson. Chaos erupted, fists flying. Me tackling one goon to the gravel. Jackson grappling two more. Grunts and curses echoing off the rocks. I tasted blood. Ribs cracking under a boot. But adrenaline surged. Vision tunneling to protect him, us. Jackson shouted. Run. Liam. Feds are. Cut off by a crack. Skull meeting bat. He crumpled. Still, a crimson halo pooling. Time fractured. I screamed, lunging, but hands hauled me back. Zip ties biting wrists. Brody's face loomed, sneering. Your cop boyfriend? Dead weight now. And you. Accessory to snitchin', they dragged us to the truck. Jackson limp across the bed. Pulse faint under my bound hands. Why? I gasped. Tears blurring. Family, Brody spat. Hailway. Your daddy started it. Lovers with the chief. Breedin' abominations like Elias. Like you too. Jackson was next, nephew. Son, whatever. Couldn't let him flip. The drive blurred, bump of back roads. Salt of my tears. They dumped us in an abandoned mill on the outskirts, rusted silos looming like judges. Jackson stirred, groaning, as they zip-tied us to beams. Liam. Sorry. Shoulda told you sooner. Shut it. Ferry. One thug snarled, pistol whipping him silent. They left us there, door slamming, engine fading, waiting for cleanup, no doubt. Hours crawled, pain a constant throb, but love sharpened focus. Hey, I whispered, twisting till our fingers laced. Remember the bleachers? We said forever. He smiled, bloody but bright. Still do. If we get out. San Francisco. Rings. Ranch of our own. Hope flickered. I worked the ties, nails shredding, till one snapped. Freeing him, we staggered out, limping through weeds, stars guiding to the road. A passing semi honked alarm. Pulling over. Driver dialed 911. Feds swarming by dawn. But betrayal's echo lingered. Interrogations revealed Jackson's half-truths. He'd tipped Brody anonymously weeks back, testing loyalties, endangering us to smoke out the rot. I thought I could control it, he confessed in the hospital, bandaged and broken, my hand in his foretangled one. Protect you by playing both sides. Stupid. So fucking stupid. Rage boiled, hot as the betrayal. You used me. Again. Like high school, like everything. I yanked free, storming the hall, nurses parting like Red Sea. Tommy found me in the chapel, vending machine coffee bitter as bile. He loves you, man. Fucked up, but real. Love ain't enough, I choked. Not when it comes with knives. The fallout was biblical. Feds raiding the station like avenging angels. Badges clattering into evidence bins. Headlines screaming Eldridge PD corruption scandal. Decades of hate buried in shallow graves. DNA confirmed Elias, Jackson's half-brother. Uncle? The lineage tangled like kudzu. Our dad's clandestine affair the root. Birthing cycles of violence and veiled loves. Chief Hale's ghost toppled. Statues yanked from squares. The town convulsing in reckonings. Town halls teeming with tears and torches. Apologies scrawled on diner napkins. Jackson faced charges, accessory after the fact. Obstruction, but cut a deal. Testifying against the old guard in exchange for probation. For you, he said in the courtroom, voice steady across the oak divide, eyes locking mine. To fix what I broke, I testified too, voice unwavering, the bullying, the love, the blade of his choices. Judge, a stern woman from Tulsa with a rainbow pin hidden in her lapel, sentenced light, community service in victim outreach, a nod to the man he could be. But I walked out alone. The ranch sold to a queer couple from Austin, farmers with dreams of lavender fields and open hearts. Proceeds funded my escape. Back to LA. Therapy couch reclaimed. Script gigs pitching stories of small-town salvations. Tommy visited, crashing my couch with tales of Eldridge's thaw, pride flags on Maine, the library group booming. Jackson asks after you, he'd say, casual. Volunteerin' at the shelter now. Helps the runaways. I nodded, walls up, but cracks formed. Months in, a letter arrived, handwritten. OU stationary, Liam, I ain't worthy of forgiveness, but I'm tryin'. Resigned for good. Teachin' self-defense at the community center, kids like we were. Showin' 'em strength ain't hate. Miss you every sunrise. if you ever. J. Enclosed. A new tattoo. Our gears, refreshed, with forgive, inked beneath. I framed it, unopened in reply, but wore down. Autumn called me back. Not for him, but for closure. Leaves turning crimson on Eldridge oaks. Air crisp with possibility. Tommy picked me up at the Greyhound, hugging fierce. He's at the quarry. Dedication plaque for Elias. Come or don't. I went. The site transformed, railed overlook now. Plaque gleaming. Elias Thornhale, beloved son. May secrets rest. Truths rise. Jackson stood alone. Wind tousling his grown-out hair. Jeans faded. Flannel soft. He turned at my footsteps, breath catching. Liam. No words at first, just steps closing distance. His arms opening hesitant. I walked into them, familiar as heartbeat, holding tight as sobs shook us both. You're an idiot, I murmured into his neck. But mine. We talked for hours, sins confessed, scars mapped, futures sketched tentative, him in therapy, me splitting time between coasts, a cabin in the hills where gears could turn free. No rings yet, but promises whispered under the autumn moon, humanistic and hard-won. Love as verb, not fairy tale, redemption in the doing. Eldridge watched, wary but warming, a town learning to exhale. And us, fractured but forging, two men who'd bullied and been broken, rising from ashes to claim the light. Because in America's heartland, where hate digs deep, love roots deeper still. Epilogue whispers, a year on, Jackson's hand in mine at the Ally Group, sharing our story, hooks of pain to hooks of hope. The boy under the bleachers, he'd grown into a man who chose truth. And me, I chose him back. Forever, this time. No graves, only gardens.